Alright everybody, I just got the prototype sent to me from Daniel. You can see his wonderful logo there, so I know it's from him. Obviously I'm not going to flip the box around to show everybody the address, but I wanted to show you this at least. You can see this is a small flat rate box. We are specifically using those because if I open this up, you can see that the game fits quite snugly in there. We deliberately chose the box size that we did for this game so that it fits inside these small flat rate priority mail boxes with no wiggle room. This is going to allow us to ship them safely to you, and it's going to insulate them from any kind of damage or injuries upon shipping. So I just wanted to show that off before I did away with the outer box altogether. So we're going to move this away, and there is our gorgeous box. Science and Seance Society by Daniel Newman. Daniel did all of the artwork and graphic design. The box itself, as you can see, is the title, his name, and our wonderful logo for this particular game on the cover. And then all of the sides will have the Science and Seance Society, the game's logo, and our publishing logo there, the New Mill logo that Aaron A. Wilson designed for us. The longer sides will also have Daniel's name on them, but the short sides, as you can see, name of the game on all four sides, like that. We're planning on doing a logo for each game so that we can have this same kind of formatting on all of the games. Each game's going to kind of get its own thematic coat of paint. This one made perfect sense to do in the black and white outer box, and then inside you'll see we have black, white, red, and gray as the primary color scheme for this one. But this is the box for those asking what's on the back. Right now there's nothing. I don't know if we're going to put anything in particular on the back of the box just yet, but right now it's blank and black. But let's go ahead and see what's inside. So I'm going to put this in the background, see if it'll stand up here. There we go, cool. So, as you can see, all of the contents of the game fit inside of the box. We're going to pull them out a little bit at a time, and we'll go over what they are individually here in just a second. So first, the box itself, as you can see, sturdy box. This was printed by the Game Crafter. This is exactly who we plan on having print the boxes for the full production run. So yeah, this is exactly what you would be getting would you back on Kickstarter, or were you to back on Kickstarter. Same exact type of box. Holds all the components, will hold everything sleeved, which is why there's a little bit of room in this, because this hasn't been sleeved at all. But as you can see, box is adequately sturdy. I'm quite happy with it. It looks really good. We'll see if anything in particular changes about the outside of the box. Maybe we'll do something with the back, maybe we won't. But otherwise, that gives you a pretty good impression. This is exactly the same as the copies that we sent to reviewers. So this is what all of the people who are going to be reviewing the game have gotten. So the first thing I will address that you did not see in here is the rules booklet. We were still in the middle of editing the rules booklet and doing all the final edits on it, with everything still going back and forth between ourselves and Travis, who did the rules editing for us. The final rules booklet wasn't done. Since we sent this off to print, we have completed that. It is in PDF up on the Board Game Geek site, so you can see that there. I sent a link. I put a link to it on our Twitter, and I think both Daniel and I retweeted it. But that rule book that is in PDF form will be the rule book that will be printed by the Game Crafter and will be inside this box. If you open your own copy We did not have time to finish all the rules edits before we had to push print in order to respect the reviewers' time. As far as when they needed the game versus when we would like to go to Kickstarter. So we just gave them the PDF version of the rules, and they were all amenable to that. But there will be a printed rule book inside of the game, so that is missing from this prototype copy, just FYI. The next thing we'll look at is the screen here. So this screen, and the glare from my light is making it a little bit harder to see. This screen here is the science player's dice screen. It will allow them to hide their science dice behind it so that the seance player does not know what they have rolled. Because the seance player will not know what they've rolled. The science player can keep dice from round to round if they so wish, so this will allow them to kind of keep their plans a little bit more hidden. It is a sturdy material. It was also Game Crafter printed. I'm quite happy with it. Those of you who follow the Twitter account, mine or New Mill's Twitter account, will see that Daniel actually put this up on a mask on Redbubble, and I had some of those printed up for myself. So yeah, this is the exact same artwork that's on the mask that I had, but really happy with this. It's sturdy. It stands up just fine, as you can see here. It's tall enough that sitting across the table you can't see the dice behind it. It serves its function. It's really good. Quite happy with that. Next, these are the red wooden discs that we're using to mark the gear cards for the science player when they're completed. This basically lets you know when you have a special ability that you can trigger. These will sit on the gear card, and then whenever you use the ability, you'll move them to the center of the gear card. I'll show you that a little bit more when we actually get to the gear cards, but these are also Game Crafter, just standard board game red discs. Next, this right here is the bag for the dice for the science player. This is a component that will definitely change. This bag is from the Game Crafter. While we have no problems with this bag, it's durable, it feels good, it's plenty big enough for me to get my big mitts in. The Game Crafter doesn't have enough of these in quantity for what we're looking to do. This is something that we found out when we went to print. We were able to easily accommodate all of the prototype copies that we had printed up, but they would not be able to do a full print run at the level that we would need in order for the game to fund on Kickstarter. So we're going to have to look elsewhere for these. We've already started pricing them. We found a place that looks pretty good. So this bag that you see here is different, but know that it will come with a black velvet type bag with drawstrings for all of the dice. Now, in the side of this bag are all of the dice. These are all Chessex brand dice. This is exactly what we plan on using to fulfill the orders. Chessex has bulk ordering available, and since we are using standard D6s in red, white, and black, it was really easy to go with them. Chessex dice are really high quality, and we can get them fulfilled very easily in the quantities that we need. We don't have to worry about getting them from anywhere else, so this is exactly the same as what will be in the final production, I put finger quotes off, production copies of the game. Are these Chessex dice, D6s. Very happy with them and how they turned out. They're all round-cornered, sturdy, pip dice. Exactly what we were looking for. And there's the bag again. The bag is a component that definitely will change between this version and the version that we ultimately send out. So the final thing to look at in here, which should not change unless it's some slight graphical alterations based on feedback that we get between now and the end of the Kickstarter campaign, are the cards themselves. Now, this game has 3 sizes of cards. We have the mini cards here. Wow, the glare is really powerful on the white. The poker-sized cards and the tarot-sized cards. Alright, so we're going to take a look at these. I'm going to start with the mini cards because there are fewer of them than there are any others in the game. And I figure we'll start with the mini cards first and work our way up from smallest to largest. So this is just an extra card that we had our logo printed on in order to fulfill the minimum quantity for printing. All of these cards, all 3 sizes, are through drive-through cards. They are the premium stock, so they are the best that drive-through cards has to offer. And so that's just our logo that we had printed up because we had an extra card. Then this one right here is the Void card. This is the only card that I know that will change. On this card, we will have spaces for dice. In the course of the game, the science player will use dice to get rid of the seance player's cards, or to lock down the seance player's cards. The seance player can, of course, get rid of those dice off of their cards, or the card will go away and subsequently the dice will go away. They will go on to the Void card that sits in between the 2 players. So we are going to be adding some spaces for dice, just 3 spaces, because that's how many dice it requires before they go back to the science player in the bag. So this component will change slightly, but it's just a slight graphical update on how many dice can be here as a mental aid. Otherwise, this card serves the exact same function looking like this as it does with that update. So that's that. I don't know if we can keep that on camera, but we'll do our best. Sorry about the lighting and shakiness and everything, but my setup is less than ideal. I already filmed this once before and didn't like it. This one's going much better, so thank you for sticking with us if you've stuck with me this long. So then we have 2 additional sets of cards here. We have a set for the science player and a set for the seance player. They are one-time use abilities, so the science player gets 3 of these. One-time use abilities that they can use once during the course of their game. They have the abilities on the front, and then they have the art on the back, but these are the science player's one-time use abilities. And then the seance player has one-time use abilities as well. They have 5 of these. These are all either black on one side or white on the other side. The abilities themselves are identical as to what they do. The color is basically just a reminder of their victory condition for the current game that they're playing. Whether they need to have the white side of the cards aligned to win, or the black side of the cards aligned to win, and we'll get into that a little bit more when we look at the tarot cards. So, those are the one-time use ability cards for both the science player and the seance player. Next, we're going to go ahead and look at the poker cards. The poker cards are all for the science player. So inside of this, we have 2 types of cards. We have the lighter cards and the darker cards. So in the game, you will actually only be using 5 of these total as the goals that the science player needs to complete in order to win the game. You'll be using 2 of these total. You'll deal 3 at the beginning and then pick your favorite 2, and then you'll be using 3 of these total. You'll deal 4 and pick your favorite 3. But the backs, as you can see, bear the game's logo, and then the other side is roughly identical. The lighter cards use the darker color for the background artwork, and the darker cards use the lighter color for their background artwork. Otherwise, the gear cards are all functionally identical, so I'll use this as an example. At the top are the spaces for the dice that you need to use to complete this gear card. So in this case, the science player would need 3 6s of any color because the dice are gray. If we flip through, we can get to some where here they would need 3 black dice of any number, 3 white dice, 3 red dice. You get the picture. In the middle on this gear is the special ability that they get when they complete it. Those red discs that we looked at earlier, the little wooden discs, whenever you complete one, the dice will be locked up here. You'll put a red disc on it, and then you can use the ability in the center. When you do, you'll slide the red disc into the center of the gear, like I was talking about earlier. And then once you've used all of your abilities, you have the option to use them again, so the red discs will all slide back into the circle. But most games don't last that long. That you'll be using your abilities multiple times, because you can only use one ability a turn, regardless. So the science player wants to complete 5 of these in order to end the game, and as you can see, there are considerably more than 3 of these, and there are If I can find them again. Here we go. Considerably more than 2 of these. These are slightly harder, so their abilities are a little bit better. Yeah, they're the goal cards for the science player. All of them are poker-sized. All of them have the gear side on the front and then the logo on the back. Again, drive-through cards printed all of these. They're the premium quality stock poker cards. I've used these before in other games. They're super, super great for shuffling. They hold up to a lot of wear, so these will be virtually identical to what you will have in your final copy of the game. And then, last but not least, the tarot cards. Now, the tarot cards are also drive-through cards, again. They are mostly the Seance player's domain. There's only one card in here for the Science player, which is the reference card that they have, which includes the phases of the turn, and then the legend that details what all of the various symbols mean. So you'll have that on the table. This is also in the rule book, but you'll have it on the table for you so you don't ever have to open the rule book to find out what any of the symbols mean. And then again, the steps of your turn for the Science player. The Seance player has one that's functionally identical, and that it has the abilities on one side, telling you what all of the different abilities mean on the various cards, and then the phases of your turn and exactly what you do on your turn on the other. Science players is white, Seance players is black, so that they're easy to tell apart at a glance. And then we have the wonderful Seance players tarot cards. So 2 of the cards have white backs and just abilities on the front. These will start in the game. For those who don't know, the Seance player will have a row of 5 cards in front of them. These will occupy the 2nd and 4th positions at the start of the game. They are double-sided, so they could be either way. But these will start the game in place. And you cannot win with these cards, as they are not black or white, but they do give you something that is easily defensible, because there's nothing the Science player can actually do to these. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Because now we're going to take a look at the actual tarot cards. So you'll see these tarot cards are all double-ended as well, black and white. The white being the alphabetical side, the black being the numeric side. Each side still has an ability that you can use during your turn, or during one phase of your turn. And then over here are the dice that the Science player can use to lock this card down. If they fill it up, then it goes away, and the Science player gets to replace it, which is kind of dangerous. However, the Seance player can discard cards from their hand to make the dice go away, and they'll go to that void card in the center of the table until 3 of them accumulate, at which point the Science player gets them back. These all have various different things on them, but the goal of the Seance player is to, depending on what the Science player chose at the beginning, organize them all in either alphabetical, like I'm trying to do here, alphabetical order, which means all the white sides line up from A to E, or numerical order, which I can't do with this set of cards because it's all 4s and 5s, but they're all 1 through 5 on the black side. It just depends on how on what the Science player picks as your particular goal as the Seance player, as to which side you'll use. And again, your one-time use ability cards will be set to the side that you need to use, or need to win with, so that you have a reminder of which color it is you're aiming for in this. But yeah, these are poker cards, again, drive-through cards. These are identical to the ones that we plan on sending out to backers. So maybe some minor graphical overhauls on what's here, but other than that, this is pretty much it. Again, there will be a rule book, the void card will be updated, and the bag will be different as the game crafter cannot supply them in sufficient quantity for what we're up to. But that's pretty much what's in the box. So this is just a little tour of the Science and Seance Society. Daniel Newman is the designer. New Mill Industries is the publisher. This is Tony Miller, and thank you very much for listening, everybody. Bye.